Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are continuing our off-season college football coverage right now with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. Steve, of course, is a regular college football analyst here at SBR Forum Videos, a professional handicapper. All he does is handicap college football all year long. We've been doing individual team previews with him all off-season long. Today is July 23rd, so we're getting closer to kickoff. And today we're going to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. Steve, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me back, Peter.
All right, before we talk about Georgia, plug your site, collegefootballwinning.com, a little bit, and tell us about the promo code that you're introducing.
Yes, thank you. At collegefootballwinning.com, all we do is college football year-round, 365 days a year. I believe we are the only service that offers a 100% money-back guarantee on the entire season. So if you fail to show a profit with us, that's going over 52.38% against the spread on the season, and we will give you 100% of your money back if you opt in for the 100% money back guarantee on the season. We're offering a promo code to any SBR viewer, and it is SBR20. So SBR20, they put that in, they can get 20% off of any membership that we offer.
Okay, great. Sounds great. And our regular viewers know how truly thorough you are with your college football analysis. Right now we're going to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. Last year, of course, great team, 12-2 straight up. They were 8-6 against the spread. I remember having personally a good read on Georgia last year, both betting on them and against them. Their futures odds at Pinnacle right now to win the 2014 BCS title are a plus 20-31. So they're about 20-1. That ties them with four others for sixth place. So right now Pinnacle's ranking them in the lower half of the top 10. What do you think is going to happen for Georgia this year?
Well, looking at them against the spread, trying to predict their against the spread season, we really look at three categories as a general rule. One is the variation in straight-up wins from the prior season. The second is their preseason ranking. And the third is, did they have some sort of an extreme against the spread season, either very good or very bad the year before? Well, Georgia of 2012, they had 12 straight-up wins. That was tied for the second most in school history. Over the past 10 seasons, every time that Georgia had less than or the same number of straight-up wins compared to the prior season, they were unprofitable against the spread. Conversely, every time that they had more straight-up wins, they were profitable against the spread. So, in other words, to be profitable in this category against the spread for 2013, Georgia is going to have to exceed 12 straight-up wins. That means they're going to have an undefeated regular season and win a bowl game or the SEC Championship game. And let's keep in mind that Mark Richt, their head coach, he is 2-10 straight up versus top 10 teams over the past 5 seasons. In 2013, they start the year at Clemson, a potential top 10 team. They have South Carolina the following week, another potential top 10 team, and a team that's beaten Georgia for 3 straight years. They face LSU in their second SEC game. LSU has outscored Georgia 62-23 the last 2 years. And, of course, they have their perennial rival Florida at a neutral site. And Richt at Georgia, he's 4-8 straight up against the Gators. And he's 5-8 straight up in neutral site games against anyone over the past 5 seasons. Georgia has always been a preseason top 25 over the last 10-plus seasons. But they have been in the top 10 just 3 times in the past 10 years. 2 out of the 3 times they were preseason top 10, they had unprofitable years against the spread. There are 4 profitable years against the spread in the last 10. 3 out of the 4, the following year, they were unprofitable. That one exception was when Georgia increased their straight-up season win total by 2 games. Now, in 2012, you already said this, Georgia was profitable. They were 8-6. That's 57.14% against the spread. And those Georgia point spreads, they just keep getting higher and higher. Over the last 3 seasons, Georgia has been a 3-touchdown or more favorite 9 times. Now, compare that to the 3 previous seasons. They were only 3-touchdown favorites or more twice. And just in case you're wondering how they've done lately, Georgia is 0-4 against the spread. They were in 2012 in those games. Here are some betting trends for Georgia. They're returning 4 defensive starters, depending on how you calculate defensive starts. But over the past 4 seasons, For SEC teams that are returning less than 5 defensive starters, they have a combined against the spread record of 38.1%. Not good. Over the past 10 years, when Georgia, this is a different betting trend here. Over the past 10 years, when Georgia has received 80% or more of the public betting on them when they're at home, they've lost against the spread every time.
Wow.
Line volatility is something else to pay attention to with Georgia. In games involving Georgia over the last 10 years, when the difference between the opening line and the closing line is at least a field goal, so for or against Georgia, doesn't matter. When the change is at least a field goal, the direction of that line movement has been correct 80% of the time. That's 8 out of 10 times. So watch to see if Georgia becomes less of a favorite or if they become more of a favorite, and that line movement of at least 3 points, at least at field goal, and that's a really good sign that the line direction is correct. In terms of a futures bet, 2014 BCS National Championship on Georgia, we wrote an article on SBR earlier called the 60% rule. We basically outlined 5 predictive criteria that were necessary for winning a BCS National Championship. The first criterion was, do they have an upperclassman quarterback? That is check for Georgia. They've got Aaron Murray, senior, one of the best quarterbacks returning, at least by the numbers. He's been a top 26 quarterback in terms of quarterback rating all 3 years that he started so far. He was number 2 in terms of quarterback rating last year. In 3 years, the guy's had 95 touchdown passes to 32 interceptions. He's 1 touchdown shy of having a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He has the 4th shortest odds to win the Heisman so far this year, at least from places we were checking. But we're talking about them being a potential national champion here. So it's important to note, Aaron Murray is just 1 in 6 straight up against top 10 teams. And against those top 10 teams, he's completed just 50% of his passes, and his touchdown interception ratio drops dramatically to 4-3. Those numbers are not good. The second predictive criterion in the 60% rule that we have is, did they have a top 20 scoring defense the year prior? Well, Georgia's 2012 scoring defense was 18th. So you check that off as a predictive criterion. However, Georgia lost 7 defensive starters to the NFL draft, including 2 first-rounders. Of all 126 this year FBS football teams, Georgia returns the fewest tackles. And by that I mean, bringing down the ball carrier, not the position of tackle. The fewest in all of college football. Over the past 4 seasons, SEC teams that returned less than or the same, so less than 5 defensive starters, they lost a minimum of 4 straight-up games. That is trouble for Georgia if they want to win a BCS National Championship. The third criterion, top 10 preseason AP ranking. Georgia's going to have that by consensus of the early preseason publications. They seem to be a top 5 team. The fourth criterion, are they in the SEC? Absolutely. Georgia's a founding member. And the final criterion is, has their head coach been there for 2 to 4 years? Well, Mark Richt has been there. He's entering his 13th season at Georgia, so that's not met. Richt, once again, Mark Richt at Georgia, he's 9-14 straight up overall versus top 10 teams. And again, we said this before, he's just 2-10 straight up against top 10 teams the last 5 seasons. So in total, Georgia meets 4 out of 5 predictive criteria for that 60% rule. So in theory, they're qualified. They're a qualified candidate for that 2014 BCS Championship. But with the 5th shortest odds, which is what we saw at Bovada, they were actually at 14-1 there. We are not buying this. So we are not taking our future. We're not going to buy a futures bet on Georgia for the 2014 BCS National Championship.
All right, I like it. Sounds like it might be a year shaping up to fade Georgia, especially maybe against top 10 teams and especially maybe on the money line. Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, thanks so much.